Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. It is time for some neurodivergent memes again. But you know the drill. Get hydrated. Get some tea, or some water, or whatever else you like to drink. And then we'll get through some memes. Are you hydrated? Good, let's go. One time in 3rd grade, I zoned out, and I don't think I ever zoned back in. Which is fair. That can happen, you know? Although, it feels like this some days. Like some days, no matter how hard you try, it doesn't feel like you can zone in. But then it just kind of randomly happens again. But then you forget that it happened, and it feels like you haven't zoned back in since 3rd grade. Oh well. You know, you can put whatever you want on a to-do list. There is literally no rules. I put wake up and drink coffee on mine, and, well, guess who already got 2 things done, and it's not even 10 a.m. God, I'm good. Fair. I think we talked about this before. Sometimes it helps because sometimes you just need to do anything to get started on doing something and get started on the thing you actually want to do. So if it's a day where just being able to cross something off the list helps you have enough functioning to do other things, this is a really smart thing to do. So go for it. When people read the strangest things into what I say and then try to hold me accountable for their creative license, yeah, I feel like most communication issues are because people either don't say what they mean or know that they're a person who doesn't say what they mean so often that they just constantly read into anything someone else says because, well, they said this thing, but what if they actually meant, well, if you're not sure what they meant, just ask. Honestly, don't come for autistic people for just telling the truth and saying what they mean. Like, if you're not sure if someone is telling the truth or it actually means what they say, ask. But don't just constantly assume, like, background thoughts. That's just weird. Autistic me saying something and it comes out meaner than expected. Yeah, is this where the whole people thinking autistic people don't have empathy comes in? Because they say things so honestly that it can seem rude, but it's usually not meant that way. Like if you're trying to say something to give like honest feedback or something, but suddenly it just sounds really harsh. Oh well. My ADHD. How to get dopamine. A. Have my 4th cup of coffee for today. B. Learn new things to get that high from learning new things. C. Become obsessed with a new hobby or person. D. Overshare everything I've learned from latest obsession. I'm not saying all of these sound like good options, but all of these seem like good options. So take your pick. Technically, there are no right or wrong answers on this, which makes this a bit tricky. The password, leaving my memory as soon as I have created it. Literally. How? I hate passwords so much. So much. It's so annoying. How I'm gonna look when I open the present after you told me what it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I will probably forget. Although sometimes I remember again, but usually I forget. If it wasn't something I really been looking forward to, in that case I'll probably remember. But if it's something, like I was told what I was gonna get for my birthday by one of my sisters, like half a year before my birthday, and I forgot about it. Obviously, I mean 6 months is way longer than 2 weeks, but I forgot about it. But then at random points during those 6 months, I just remembered. I was really excited for it, and then I forgot again. Oh well. Neurotypicals say they accept you for being autistic, but won't accept when you stim, have a sensory overload, or go nonverbal, etc. You can't really say you accept someone with autism and then not accept the autism. Because these are all things that will probably very commonly happen for an autistic person. Do you? Do, I wanna. I wanna hope you're just ignorant, but I don't think you can actually blame it on you just didn't know better. If that was literally the case, fine. But I don't think it was. I think you're just being rude. Well, time management when you're autistic. Okay, shouldn't take long. Between an hour and 11 months. I would have thought this is more of an ADHD thing. But I guess time blindness is generally a thing. Like, even if you've done something very often, because some days it's just way quicker. That's the thing. You don't always take the same amount of time to do a certain thing. Like, somehow, it always feels different. Time is weird in general. But if you're ADHD, isn't it also just well, if it doesn't need to be done in an hour, it will probably only get done in 11 months. Okay, here's all the money I could have saved if I didn't have so many hyperfixations. Or new interests, or new hobbies that you get really excited for and you have to have all the gear for it. You desperately need it because you're so excited about it. You can't just not invest in it. Yeah. It feels like we should be all rich, but somehow things keep coming up, you know? Finally feeling free to take the mask off and tell those closest to I'm autistic. Yes, excited. But nobody's even remotely surprised. I'm surprised. I'm surprised because I think I got so used to people having like weird reactions of, oh, everyone's a little autistic, or oh no, but you can hold eye contact, or oh, you're nothing like my 5-year-old nephew has autism, that it's kind of surprising to see the other side of it, of someone just being like, yeah, no, obviously. It's nice to see though. So, what do we have in the forecast today? Brain fog. And the weather? Also fog. Neat coincidence. Yeah, I mind brain fog a whole lot more than I mind fog. Fog itself I find really beautiful. Right, but brain fog? Not so much. Not so much. It's kind of annoying. Okay, this is another one that isn't actually specifically neurodivergent, but unpopular opinion, I don't think your life has to have a purpose or a grand ambition. I think it's okay to just wander through life finding interesting things until you die. And if you keep finding completely different interesting things every 5 minutes basically, because it's new and it's suddenly very exciting, that's also fair. That's also fair. Because I think a lot of us just stress ourselves with trying to figure out like what the deeper meaning is, or like what our purpose is. Honestly, if you have one and you feel like, oh, this one thing or this goal is my purpose, like, I'm not even coming for it, that's great. But trying to desperately find one is kind of pointless, you know? If one comes up and you're just like really excited about it, cool, pursue it, you know? But also, if it changes, that's also great. And especially if you have ADHD, it probably will change. But honestly, who cares? Just go with the flow. A therapist. You don't have ADHD. Me, on my 12th shot of espresso, blasting music so loud I'm getting a headache, catching up on 3 months of work in one night. Are you sure about that? Are you absolutely sure about that? Because neurotypicals would die on their 12th shot of espresso. Being able to teleport must suck ass when you have ADHD. Why the fuck am I in Nevada? Teleports home, immediately remembers why they were going to Nevada. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, but I think, wouldn't it still kind of be practical? Yeah, sure, you probably end up in places and have no idea what you're doing there, which kind of happens anyway. But if you can just teleport home, you're able to cover more distance, because what if you actually start driving somewhere, and then you forget where you're going and what you were doing. That's so much more annoying. Especially if you have to go back and then remember. Like, it's still easier, right? If you can teleport. Look at my most recent D&D miniature. Man, I love having a new obsession. You mean a hobby, right? No. Yeah, that's the thing. Hobby is something you do, right? Like, maybe, I mean, you really enjoy it. It's your hobby, of course, but you usually don't obsess over it as much as you would if it's actually an obsession, obviously. And then also maybe immediately forget about it because something else came up that's suddenly more interesting to you, or freaking monkey brain that just decided, it's boring now, we're gonna play with something else. So, maybe it's your hobby, yes, but maybe it's simultaneously an obsession, so no, I don't mean a hobby. That ADHD moment when you get to work and realize you will be wondering if you close your garage door all day. Yeah. I don't know how I did it. Like, actually cooked something for breakfast, like on a stove before work, because then if you go to work and you don't remember if you turned your stove off, that's kind of problematic. So if you just eat something cold, you don't, at least don't have that anxiety, you know? But, oh well, that'll happen. My mom, we're all out of small forks, just use a big one. My weird ass sensory issues, big fork bad, no big fork. Yeah, honestly understandable that you don't vibe with big forks. You know, big forks are weird. I don't know, I kinda got used to them, but still, I have a hard time using other people's forks because they're weird. You know, they're shaped weird. Adults with ADHD see a problem, then lose control. Adults with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder are ruled by their impulses when faced with a problem to solve, says a study in the September Neuropsychology, Volume 21. A study group composed of adults with ADHD and controls demonstrated a marked difference in problem-solving strategies. With the ADHD group chucking their planning out the window in favor of haste. That's kind of fair. I mean, ADHD people seem to be very good in a crisis because you would think they're less panicked, and like a lot of the time they just work really well under pressure, so it just works. But I think it works way better if you have like something you can just do automatically in that situation versus having to still stick to a plan if something needs to get done really quickly. So it's kind of understandable. My psychiatrist asking what time I'm available in 6 months to book my next appointment. Me, who she just diagnosed with ADHD. I don't know. Make an appointment and please remind me like at least 2 weeks beforehand so I can actually still plan it. And then hope I don't forget it. I'm gonna study at 5. I'm gonna study at 6. I'm gonna study at 7. I'm gonna study at 8. I'm just gonna study at 9. Why are you like this? Because suddenly, it's no longer 7, it's 7:05. And then you decide to start at 7:30, because you can't just start at a weird time. It doesn't work. But then it's suddenly like 33 already, and then then you're just screwed, and it just keeps being pushed back. Until eventually you just decide to screw it and go to bed. You know? Normal peeps. 7 plus 6 is 13. ADHD peeps. If 7 plus 7 is 14, and 6 is 1 less than 7, then 7 plus 6 must be 13. Again, doesn't everyone do this? Isn't that just how you do things? I mean, if you have it memorized, you don't need to calculate it at all. But I don't have it memorized, so this happens like every time. What? How do you do math other than this? When you thought everything would be easy peasy lemon squeezy, but it's actually difficult, lemon, difficult. You can't rhyme under pressure, can you? But yeah, I hate it when that happens. When you think you finally motivated yourself to do the thing, And by motivated, I mean finally talk your brain into letting you do the thing. And then you start doing it, but then you realize it's way more complicated than you even thought it was. Hate it. My brain during normal human hours. My brain from 2 to 6 a.m. Yeah. Isn't everybody more productive though? For me, it usually hits at like 9 a.m. 9 p.m. It starts hitting at 9 p.m. when I'm kind of like very focused and awake, and it just works better. And I hate it because then I like want to do stuff. But then with a lot of things, if you live in an apartment complex, maybe it's just me, but I'm like super conscious of not disturbing my neighbors because I hate hearing my neighbors. So I'm just like, I'm gonna try not to be super loud. But then you just have to do everything quietly until it annoys you so much that you're just not doing anything anymore as well. Is that just me? Maybe. Watching TV without subtitles honestly sends me into panic mode. I can't fucking hear without seeing the words. Yeah, literally, I can't remember the last time I watched something without subtitles. By choice. Like, who does that? Because I never sit still. And it's worse when you're watching things with other people because they don't sit still either, and then they're making noises, and then your brain can't hear the words anymore because there's other things happening at the same time, and you just hear everything, and you can't tell it apart anymore at some point. I can't fucking hear without subtitles. Come on. My brain, talking about it. My brain processing thousands of background noise going on around me. My brain processing words when someone is talking to me. Again, my brain tends to focus on things next to me. I used to have, it's a little bit better now. Maybe I just got a little bit used to it, I'm not sure. It used to be way worse though. Telephone calls, when someone else is in the room. Absolute nightmare, because I could just always hear them so much more clearly. Because their voices were familiar, or because they're just around me and I'm just like very conscious of that, so my brain tends to focus on that more than on the voice on the other end of the line. So I just can't hear on the telephone. Oh well. And people mumble. And then I'm just like bottom Patrick and just it's going in, but it's kind of just going out again because I'm not processing anything. When I'm under-medicated, I understand nothing. When I'm properly medicated, you have no idea how high I can fly. When I'm over-medicated, I'm dead inside. I don't feel anything at all. Fair. The thing is, I hardly take my meds. I'm not sure if that makes it worse. It probably does. Because most of the time, I'm just under-medicated and have a hard time doing anything, but I also don't want to take my meds. Because sometimes they just give me really bad anxiety and they change how things taste to me. It's kind of weird. So I don't take them, and then I forget to take them even if I want to take them. But being properly medicated is kind of nice. ADHD holiday wish list is for someone else to make the decision. Weighted blanket. To talk about their hyperfixation with you. An elf that does the laundry. An exciting trip to look forward to. An elf that does the laundry or the dishes. Honestly, I struggle more with dishes. Can I get an elf that does the dishes for me, please? Thank you, Santa. You know, I hate it when people say shit like, but antidepressants alter your brain function unnaturally. Read up on it. Like, yeah, you're right. They force it to produce serotonin so I can function. Similar to how I take thyroxine because my thyroid doesn't fucking make the right shit. Similar to how people with diabetes take insulin. Similar how people with low iron take iron supplements. You thin slice of nut loaf. Do you yell at people for eating food because their body doesn't naturally photosynthesize energy on its own? Yeah, I love it. I was like, oh, you'll get addicted to it. Like, I'd get addicted to antidepressants? I'm not saying it can't happen, but even if it happens, doesn't that still kind of beat wanting to toss yourself off a cliff constantly? You know, but again, if your body doesn't produce the right stuff on its own, it's totally okay to supplement it. Like, store-bought is fine. Because, best case scenario, your body does produce the right things. Like enough insulin. Or enough serotonin. But if it doesn't, store-bought is absolutely fine. Screw people who try to shame you into like not taking it, because they don't have to live with it. Like, it's easy to say don't take antidepressants when you don't need antidepressants. You know, people thinking I'm keeping their secrets well. Me, who just has a really short memory. You're welcome, I guess. Time taken to text a conversation versus time taking if I had just called. Okay, but phone calls are annoying. As previously stated, I can't hear when you talk to me on the phone. Sometimes I can. Sometimes it goes really well. But some days I can't understand at all. And honestly, it's just way more convenient to text, even if it technically takes longer. Come on. And to finish off, again, not really me, but I don't care. You're literally doing your fucking best, and if no one else is proud of you, be proud of yourself. Exactly. Honestly, way more important, really, what you think of yourself. Which is difficult, I guess, if you struggle with self-esteem or something and you don't think very highly of yourself. But the thing is, a lot of the times that is also because of shit other people say as well, or have been saying to you your entire life. You know, like, especially if you're neurodivergent, people have probably given you a lot of shit, even growing up, all the time, about being weird or flaky or lazy, or like thinking you're just defined when you refuse to eat with a big fork versus the small fork. They just think you're being weird or picky. And honestly, that sucks. I'm really sorry. Because I know sometimes we all kind of make ourselves do things to not get those weird comments anymore. When it would be preferable, obviously, if people just didn't make the comments and just be chill with it. So I hope you have nice people around you who let you eat with little forks and eat your food separately if that's what you want. And who don't get weird about you eating the same food again, because who cares? If you enjoy it, you enjoy it, and if you want to eat it, that's cool. So, yeah. I hope y'all got through Christmas well. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. I hope you got to spend time with some of your pets and just cuddle those versus having to talk to weird relatives. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're gonna get through New Year's well. But yeah, as always, I will just be here in 3 days with my next video. Until then, stay hydrated.